Mike, I'm early. See, I feel bad because I've always been late. I hope you hear me, right? Yeah, I think you do. Captain Lee Van Hockey. We're going to do some stories again. Figured why not? I'm going to go to the store in a little bit. Just thought read for a little bit to you guys. I'm glad you guys like this. Hi, Wendy. Because I know if you didn't, you wouldn't keep coming back, right? I know I wouldn't if I was bored. Hi, Pamela Rensler. Let me try to get some stories, see what we're going to read. Okay? Give it a few more minutes. I got my bag here. And my tub with the magazines. I'm trying to stick with the seasons, you know. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Amy, Debbie L, Carol, boys, Debbie Johnson, Debbie L. Trying to stick with the seasons. He's not. Dave. He always goes. No, I can't, Karen H. I really can't. His pain comes and goes. Definitely, you know, better than before. But yeah, sometimes he says it's worse than before. Probably just part of the process, you know. Right? These are going to be some more old ones. Hi, Nana Patty. Because these were submitted back in back in 2005. This one Garnet has been messing with. See, she gets fixed tomorrow too. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Teresa. You guys ready for some stories? I'm actually early. Teresa Lily. If I messaged Vita because she seems to always miss it. I know I read from here because it's got the Velveeta fudge. Barbara. Oh, my phone. There. Couple more minutes, Karen. What am I doing? Oh no, and here come the cats. Hi, Shannon. Come here, Mittens. Come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Garnet's getting fixed in the morning. Mittens, maybe she'll be better. Maybe she'll start to calm down. And she won't bother you so much. Yeah. I wish you guys could hear her. She's going, Mom? She has, but she's still kind of little, you know. She's so freaking cute. What? I think I read this one about helping mom cook, making meatballs. What? Come here. I told Carolyn. No, Wendy, I don't know if we're gonna be able to put one up, even though we have a small one that we bought last year, and I love putting a tree up. I have so many boxes of decorations. It was always my favorite holiday. But with Garnet, I think she'll really, really, really mess it up. I think she'll tear it to pieces. Because I know Mittens always gets in a regular tree. Well, there you are. Yeah, say hi. Two cats and two dogs, Barbara. Hi, Scott. Kevin again, Maria. Oh, yeah, well, no, we have it at both of our families' houses. His family's house, because they have such a huge family, and then we go to my family's as well. My dad wants to have it this year, so we're gonna get everything ready. Bonnie, me, Shelly, Lexi, um, probably Nikki, my daughter, will come too. We're gonna get it all ready for him. We always have a nice Christmas. Hi, Cindy B. Okay, Mittens, okay. She's so freaking needy. Oh, come on now. Right on the magazine, really? Come on. Come on. Please. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. She's getting mad. Okay, this one some of the guys might like. Shelly Ellis, Mimi, Fergie, Mittens for real. Really? Okay, this one is called. Here, let me message Carolyn in case she didn't get the notice. And I messaged Davita, nothing yet from her. Okay, we'll get started. Hi, 10th Angel. This one's called Long Shot by Bob Griggs. In 1937, we moved from Eugene, Oregon, into the country to the farm my folks owned. The biggest change for me was Norkenzie, the one-room school, and the kids that attended it. There were farm kids, and I was a stranger from the city. Thanks to my Canadian-born mother, I wore short-sleeve shirts, short pants with knee socks, and Oxfords. The boys at Norkenzie wore long-sleeve shirts and boots, and all of them wore denim overalls. And in the back pockets of those overalls, they all carried slingshots. I'd never seen a slingshot before, and I was fascinated. You could plink bottles and tin cans with them and scare the feathers off any bird foolish enough to fly by. Well, the other boys could. I didn't own one, and they weren't loaning. My dad was busy working, so I went to my granddad at his dairy farm 2 miles down the road. A slingshot, he said. Well, Bobby, we'll have to see about that. Every boy should have a slingshot. Think it'll be all right with your folks? I think it'll be all right with Dad, but there was a tinkle in Granddad's eye. You're right. He had one when he was your age, but maybe we shouldn't bother your mother with having to decide. She's got enough to worry about with your little sister and baby brother. Let's get a hatchet and find a tree limb with a fork in it. We did, down in the woodlot by the creek. We cut it off and brought it back to Granddad's shop, where we cut it to shape with a saw. I already owned a pocket knife, so I scraped off the bark and cut the notches for the red rubber bands my granddad had cut from an old inner tube. He stretched them in place while I tied them with a cord. Then we did the same thing with the stone pocket we'd formed from a piece of old leather glove. When it finished, we had a first-rate slingshot. Granddad set up a shooting gallery behind the shop, hanging up several round discs and other pieces of metal, and I was ready to go. It took a while for my arm to steady and my aim to improve, but I practiced, and pretty soon the resounding bong of pebble hitting metal echoed clear up to the house, giving Grandma a headache. Finally, I figured I was good enough to take my slingshot to school and compete with the other boys. You see, the competition wasn't to shoot cans and bottles. The real test stood across the road, an old church with a tall steeple, abandoned by its congregation years before. At one time, it had windows, but not now. Every scrap of glass had been taken out by generations of boys and their slingshots. And yet, still there remained at the top of the steeple on two sides three little windows of yellow glass still intact. They were shielded by a wide ledge that protected them if you tried to hit them up close. And if you stepped back far enough to see them and aim, you were too far away to hit them. What a dilemma. Hi, Bridget. Okay, drive carefully. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Henny. I was sure I could do what the others hadn't been able to do, but I never got the chance. I'd put my slingshot in the approved fashion in the back pocket of my hated short pants and was headed out the door when Mom spotted it. Robert Lawrence Griggs, she thundered, what are you doing with that thing? She ripped it out so fast that she almost tore the pocket. It's just a slingshot, I protested. All the boys got 'em. No son of mine is taking a weapon to school. Your father is going to hear about this, she said. She opened the iron cook stove door and threw my slingshot into the fire. I took off like a scared rabbit before she realized that she'd thrown rubber in it too. Dad didn't say anything. He just smiled and tried to calm Mom down. Miracles do happen. Mom had decided, move this chair up a little more. Thank you, Kevin, for doing that. Oh, nice, Shelley Ellis. Pamela Patrick. Mom had decided that we needed religion, so every Sunday we drove into town in the Model B Ford to the Baptist church where I was enrolled in Sunday school. I didn't think much of it, but I was good at memorizing, and somehow I was given a Bible as a prize. It had some really neat colored paintings, and right up front was a picture of a young guy wearing a sort of dress and facing a huge, mean-looking guy with a sword. The young guy had two long cords attached to a sort of cup with a rock in his hand. When I asked the teacher about the picture, she said that was David, and the other guy was a giant named Goliath. The thing in David's hand was a sling, and he'd killed old Goliath with it. Pow, right between the eyes. I walked down and showed the picture to Granddad. He said, be a whole lot easier to hide than a slingshot. Let's see what we can do. He hadn't agreed with my mom, and the twinkle was back in his eye. Are you okay? Are you okay? He's not joking. He's in there coughing. Now I'm doing it. Nana Patty, Dave goes to therapy tomorrow for the first time. Um, it's going to be a new one, a place that's close to here. He's fine, Wendy. He does this all the time. Let's see. Well, we made David's sling with 2 pieces of leather lacing and the palm out of the leather glove. I was back in business in the shooting gallery. I had to learn how to swing the sling and when to let it go, but I kept at it and I got pretty good. I also learned something new. I could throw a rock about twice as far as a slingshot could. This time I didn't take any chances. I wrapped the sling around my middle under my shirt. Mom never noticed. And is she doing again? Hold on, guys. Accident. I don't like it either. But he's just starts gagging. I should take her. I can't. I can't take her to get put to sleep. She's not in pain. If she was in pain, that'd be different. I don't think she's in pain. She just keeps having diarrhea. She's almost blind. Our oldest Chihuahua. She'll be 16 in 9 days. December 10th. I don't know. I'll have to ask the vet, but I won't. Dave will have to, You will know when it's time. That's what I'm thinking, Carol. I just told Dave that. Try a doggy diaper. Lexi and I are going to go to Walmart after I get done reading, and there's a Petco right by there. So maybe we'll run in there and see what they have. Yeah, I'm going to look into that. She's horrible with anything on her there. She does not want you to she hates when she has a collar on, but she hates when you don't have a collar, when you put like a new collar on her or something. She's real picky. Okay, let's see. At noon, I went across to where the boys were making another futile try at the steeple. I pulled out my sling. What's that, Griggs? Asked the biggest boy. It's a sling, I said proudly. What are you going to do with it? Hit somebody? He sniggered. Nope, I'm going to do this, I said, going for broke. I picked up a rock and walked out until I could see the little windows. I put the rock into the cup and started swinging the sling around while the boys watched and made comments. Then I let her go. Up went the rock. Smash right through the small center window. I turned. There, I said smugly. There. They looked at each other. Finally, the biggest one spoke for the others. That wasn't no slingshot, he pronounced. It isn't a slingshot. It's a sling. It's in the Bible. Still, wasn't no slingshot, he pronounced. You cheated. They turned and walked back to the school. I trailed along trying to figure it out. Granddad knew. They were jealous because you did something they couldn't do, he said. Anyway, I'm proud of you. There is another thing, he added. If you ever run into a giant with a sword, you'll be able to take him. I looked at him and we both started laughing. It felt pretty good. Hi, Carolyn. Carol never left the building. Let's see. I read this one about the ice, the rations, Lady the Pig. Okay, this one is called and that's a little bank from the savings bank. Hi, Tracy. This one's called Remembering by Bessie McFarlane. I always read my Good Old Days magazine from cover to cover. However, Mr. Tate's Looking Back in the February 2004 issue really hit home. I could relate to each episode he talked about. It brought back so many good memories of my younger days and the big snowstorms. I am 86 years old, and I could just see myself sitting at the kitchen table studying by the old kerosene lamp. We did graduate to an Aladdin lamp in my late high school years. What a light! It was so much brighter than the kerosene lamp. How old would she be today? This was 2005. She was 86 then.
At least 100.
What?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know. I went to the woodpile and brought in an armload for the stove so I could stay warm while finishing my lessons. You're going to talk right in my ear now? Yell, hi, Kevin. Hi, Mike. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Debbie and Karen.
Hi, everyone.
Lexi. You have a hard belly?
Hi, Tim, Angel, and WL.
Marks everything. Yeah, I had my mail fixed. Yeah, because he was doing that. But when he got fixed, he didn't anymore.
Hi, Tracy Claus and Debbie and Anna Patty.
Okay.
This is close enough. Hi, Debbie Johnson.
I went to the woodpile and brought in an armload for the stove so I could stay warm while finishing my lessons. At bedtime, my mother warmed a brick, wrapped it in an old piece of blanket, and sent me off to bed. My feet stayed warm all night. A telephone was out of the question. Daddy's philosophy. Daddy's philosophy was, if you can't eat it or wear it, you don't need it. He sure didn't waver one bit either. But all those Saturday nights when the kids all gathered at one house for corn popping and taffy pulling. Sometimes 15 kids would turn up. Of course, we had to wade through snow to get to the house where the party was held. I can still feel the excitement of the snowball fights on the way there. Mother canned anything that was edible, so our pantry was always full. No running to the grocery store. Daddy always kept the smokehouse full of meat. Rabbit, squirrel, hog, calf, and goat. Ready to set a good table. We never went hungry. One thing Mr. Tate didn't mention was snow cream. That was one pleasure that went with a big snowfall. We always had snow cream. Mother would sacrifice some of her eggs she was saving for a pie or a cake to make a big pan of snow cream. She would step outside on the porch and dip about 2 inches of pure cream off the top of a bucket of milk to add to the eggs, then add sugar and beat until it was smooth as silk. Then she added a spoonful of vanilla, and then bring on the snow. If you missed snow cream, you missed one of the good old days' pleasures. We would fill our bowls, sit by the wood-burning stove, and eat our fill. Yes, I'm glad I lived through those good times. However, I'd never want to go back to those days. The old saying is, you don't miss what you never had. That is so true. We were poor, but we didn't know it. All families were in the same boat. And this one is called Lunchbox Special by Becky Farmer. I saw a cartoon recently in a newspaper about show and tell, and it jogged my memory back.
They want me to give you a hug for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, video reel. Lori Colley, easily distracted. Cindy B. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. You guys are sweet.
No, they keep calf like the baby cow in the smokehouse, not a cat.
Okay, about show and tell, and it jogged my memory back to when I was in third grade in Woodstock, Vermont in 1934. Our teacher, Mrs. Snow, had asked us each to bring something to school that we could show and tell about. All the other children talked about what animals they would bring. Some had pet cats, others had guinea pigs and the like. Having no pet of my own, I asked my stepmother if I could bring her white pigeon, Cookie, but the answer was no. She thought I couldn't handle the cage walking to school. She was probably thinking about all those cats that would be coming to school as well. I was very discouraged. I didn't want to be the only one with nothing to show. So I decided to keep my eyes open for something to take. The next day on the way to school, I saw a cherry tree with big white cocoons in it. I decided that the cocoons would do very nicely. I was thinking of butterflies. I snapped off a small branch and tucked it into my lunch pail. When it was time for lunch, I got out my pail, thinking I would show Mrs. Snow what I had brought for show and tell. Being very shy, I waited until last. I opened my pail and, surprise, my lunch was crawling with worms. Ugh. Mrs. Snow rushed my lunch pail outside to dump the contents. Unfortunately, that meant I had nothing to eat. But Mrs. Snow bought me a hot lunch, which was far better than the worm infested sandwich I had had in my lunch pail. The whole episode brought much laughter and sympathy from my classmates. And I learned one other thing too. Show and tell was my least favorite subject.
Oh, we're gonna sing this.
Yeah. No. Let's see. Um, let's see. Some of these we've read. Um, let's see here. I don't think we read this. Mrs. Wheeler and Jim Crow. And it's a real crow. Annie B. Hi. Hi, Pamela Lynn. This is by Elsie Ritzer. I met Lucy Wheeler at a Sparta, Illinois senior site. Lucille was 100 years old when I met her. She still lived alone, but she couldn't drive. So her daughter, Mary Ruth Bierman, would bring her in to eat lunch and visit. She was a spry, sweet lady, her only problem being her hearing. We were visiting one day when she told me this story. I was out in the yard one day when several little boys came by and stopped to show me the baby crow they had found. I asked them if they would take a quarter for him, and a deal was made. I named the little fella Jim, took him into the house, and wondered what to feed him. Then I thought about the mash I fed my baby chickens. Jim gobbled it up and thrived on it. He soon became a royal member of our family. Even he and the cat became best buddies, and they played together all the time. He loved to sit on my shoulder and nuzzle my ear and talk crow talk to me. Oh, how I loved Jim Crow. I knew the day would come when Jim would go to join his crow family. I started to take him outside with me, and he would fly off and explore. But soon he would be back on my shoulder, chattering away. One day we were on our bench in the yard when a flock of crows flew over. Oh, I think I did read this one. Calling as they went. Jim cocked his head and chattered, gave me a big nuzzle, and was gone. He never came back again, but I've never forgotten him. Lucille lived to be close to 102 and then slipped quietly away. I like to think she has met up with Jim Crow somewhere in time once again. She just glowed when she spoke of him. This world needs more Mrs. Wheelers. Hi, Whisper to May. Hi, Angie Wallace. We read a doll named Charles, right? Because we were laughing about Chucky. I'm pretty sure. Kevin, you usually remember. It's a short one, but okay. Teresa Lilly. Yeah, you guys will have to let me know. Um, yeah, and then the one about the little girls. Hi, Vintage Gal. We're reading vintage stories. Hi, Glover. Glover. Yeah, we read this one about the little girl that stole the pack of cookies. She wanted store-bought cookies. I was trying to stick with ones that kind of have like a winter, whatever theme. Kevin, are you still here? Yes, you are. Hi, Aurora. You guys remember? Hi, Kristen Vita Civ. Remember when I would read these Wanted in the back of these older Good Old Days magazines? The things people would ask for. I'm just going to read just a couple of them because they kind of make me laugh. Here was somebody saying, seeking any information on Horace Boys, born in born CA .ca 1825 in Ohio. He married Eveline Wilcox in Ohio. She divorced Horace on May 28th, 1877. We found entry of H. Boys in 1875 census for Diamond Bluff, Wisconsin. He is my husband's great grandfather. His grandfather was Frederick Herbert Boys. Frederick had two sisters, Nellie Boys, who married David Wethern, and Ida Boys, who married Charles Hunter. Any information on Horace Boys would be appreciated. Um, Here's somebody that wants looking for words for of an old song to sing at church. It went sort of like this. I seen Adam and Eve when they had to leave. I was peeping through the gate. I can't work anymore, so I read a lot. Love old nonfiction books about the Civil War and Christian stories. That's from Norma from Oklahoma. High 61 would get along with her. You live in Southwest Ohio? Teen. Okay, this was what, 21 years ago? No, 2005 they put this in here. So 16 years ago. There's a lot of interesting things people ask. Dave? Dave. Jenny wants to know how you're doing. I'm not going to tell her you're dying. She just sent me a message. Okay, let me find a story. How long is 41 minutes? Okay. Paradise. Let's see. Here's somebody that this is from 1999. And some person said recipes. She put a little ad in here. Mother of 3, selling my own recipes to make ends meet. I don't want a handout, just a chance. Then it says to contact her. This was in Washington, state of Washington. Let me message Jenny super quick, guys. Just let her know he's doing okay. Okay. Hi, 80s girl. Again, I'm not sure. Hi, TC. I don't know what's wrong, Paradise. But 10th Angel is right. Bless you.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
I know I've read some from here. It's fine, burn hot dog. I think we're all grateful for each other, Peridot. I'm grateful for you. Hi, Sandy, Ellens. You're welcome. Good, Tracy. We're by Chicago, Northwest Indiana. Vintage gal. We're 35 miles from Chicago. Not far at all. Look at this one. What title? Scooting along. Cherville? Oh gosh, yeah, that's not far here from here at all. We've been there plenty of times, going down Highway 30 for different things. I don't, so what? I don't care if they find me. You know you're joking. Okay, here's a story called Thanks for the Memory, Ralph, by Mary Joyce Porcelli. Ireland. Living was sometimes hard in the rural community where she grew up. While crops were usually plentiful, paying jobs were scarce. People there were too busy just making ends meet to pay attention to most holidays. Oh, Thanksgiving and Christmas got their just recognition, even if it was only an orange and a peppermint handed around to each one. Valentine's Day, though, wasn't anything special and was considered another working day. Oh, and Moo isn't coming in because, yeah, vintage, maybe someday, you never know, right? Davita. And Moo isn't coming in. She's got family that's there visiting. So I'm sure she's thrilled. She's thrilled to death. Only the younger children could get away with celebrating every holiday. Nobody expected much out of them. But as for the rest, the day they turned 12, they were handed extra family responsibilities. She was no exception. For her 12th birthday, she was given a written list of her new chores, quote unquote. She was desolate that Valentine's Day. The year before, she had been making red construction paper hearts to hang on the school bulletin board beside the other children's artwork. Suddenly, she had no more time for children's celebrations. When the bell rang, that fateful birthday, she walked slowly past the one room building's small bulletin board, not to stare at crude artwork pinned there, but to carefully study the faces of other 12-year-olds gathered, hoping to see someone as miserable as herself at the prospect of not being able to celebrate Valentine's Day anymore, even if it only meant making and pasting up red construction paper hearts. However, the other kids there just laughed and joked as usual until the final bell rang. No one but she seemed to even notice, much less care, that a holiday was about to pass them by. She trudged home and automatically filled a bucket with slop for one of her new chores was feeding the pigs. Bonnie says hi, Isaiah. Pouring the food scraps into the, and there goes Dave, coughing again. Pouring the food scraps, choking, into the wooden trough, she thought the metal pail felt as heavy as her heart. The hogs, each one eager to be first at the trough, squealed, shoved, and pushed hungrily. Leaning against the pen's rails, she sighed. Her heart was nearly breaking. She raised her head at an unfamiliar sound and saw to her dismay that Sam, a favorite rooster, had sneaked into the sty, and was now strutting among the hogs. Get out, she shouted, frantically waving her arms. But Sam, as if to defy her, spread his wings and perched on the largest hog's back. Grabbing her pail, she fled up the dirt path towards home, not wanting to witness the mayhem that was sure to follow. That hog wasn't the gentlest of creatures and made quick work out of any unfortunate rat that happened along. Sam the rooster would seem easy prey. Halfway to the house, she realized that there had been no screams as expected from the animals. Turning slowly, she was amazed to see Sam the rooster still standing on the hog, while the hog only grunted occasionally as he continued his meal. Pent-up tears flowed then. Even the animals understood the importance of this day of love. Finally, she dried her eyes and started for home again, just as Ralph, her neighbor, came walking down the path. His thick tuft of carrot-colored hair was sticking straight up in front as usual. His many freckles stood out sharply in the bright sunlight. She couldn't help smiling a bit at his appearance. He stopped, his hands behind his back, his face flamed as red as his scalp. At last he dropped his head. Kinda cold today, he mumbled, scuffing his feet in the dirt. Yes, she replied shortly, wondering what on earth he could want. When he attempted a shy smile, his front tooth seemed even more prominent. Saw you in school today. She frowned, puzzled. Saw you too. You were playing with some boys. Ralph glanced at the sky. Maybe rain again tomorrow. Maybe. Suddenly she realized this was a rare conversation with a boy. Now it was her time to be shy. Yeah, maybe, she replied, her face turning warm. There was a long moment of awkward silence as they tried not to look at each other. Well, guess I best be going now, Ralph said suddenly, and with these words started off at a brisk trot. She stood stunned for a second, more confused than ever. Bye, she said suddenly without meaning to. Ralph hesitated, then turned. He took something red and cardboard out of the back pocket of his jeans. I made this for you today, he said breathlessly, almost in a whisper, harshly shoving something stiff into her hands. He then fled in a full run. She watched until he was out of sight. Then, still open-mouthed, she stared down at the construction paper heart she was holding. On one side of the heart, scrawled in pencil, were the crooked words, I like you. Happy Valentine's Day. Yours truly, Ralph. The hogs grunted, the rooster crowed, and her heart sang. Grandmother didn't marry Ralph, although she confessed to having dreamed of doing so for the rest of that year. They didn't get past the point of glancing across the classroom or showing off in front of each other at recess. Grandmother married a few years later and left the community, never to see Ralph again. Yet every Valentine's Day, she remembered the homely, red-headed kid who had made her feel so special. It was one of her most cherished memories. No, grandmother never saw Ralph again, and I never met him. But through that one loving action, Ralph made Valentine's Day a special memory for both of us. Thanks for the memory, Ralph. Kind of cute the way she describes that, right? Yes, Mimi. Yeah. Just actually look it up, Mimi, online, and they'll have you can get the subscription right there. Just they have a website. Right, Davita? That was sweet, right? Very descriptive, yes. Um, I don't think we've read this one. This one's A Trip to the Principal's Office by Dorothy Stenitis. Oh, thank you, B. Bird hot dog. It's my little brother Charles before Pete Black washed his face in the snow. Hi, Margot. It's been almost 1 hour. What time is it? We still have time to get to Walmart. I recognized the boy who came into our sixth grade classroom that snowy day in 1946 to tell Mrs. Smith I was wanted in the principal's office. Principal's office, TC. Funny, funny. This one is today's story time brought to you by Bubbly Sparkling Water. Try blueberry pomegranate bubbly. It has other natural flavors. No preservatives, zero carbohydrates, zero sugar, zero sweetener, zero fat, zero sodium, but 100% flavor. Doggy diapers, I know. Wet wipes is a good thing. Yeah, I'm constantly mopping. And you'll get a special message. Crazy Fizzy Love. I was wanted in the principal's office. I just didn't know his name. That was unusual for our little grade school in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Really? Vintage? Hi, Heart Made Wives. I hope I didn't read this one. Let me know if I did. I don't think so. But what was even more unusual was why the principal wanted me at all. I was very well behaved, and Miss Bray usually sent for children who weren't. Although I knew I was innocent of any wrongdoing, I felt terribly anxious as I slowly walked down the quiet hall. I wondered what I could do to prove that I was guilty of nothing. It had started as such a happy day, but now I was on my own to the principal's office to face some unknown trouble. I looked longingly out the windows. How I wished I were outside on the snowy playground. The snow had started during the night. When we woke up that morning and saw it, my brothers and sisters and I had been giddy with happiness. We quickly finished our oatmeal so that we could dash out into the big field beside our house. We ran around to make the first footprints on that wide expanse of untouched, bright, clean snow before we left for school. As I continued down the hall, I noticed that the classroom doors I passed were closed. I couldn't hear a thing. The lucky students inside were silently reading or working arithmetic problems. You never hear that anymore, do you, arithmetic? How I wished I were back at my own desk doing any amount of the arithmetic instead of going to see Miss Bray. The only sounds to be heard were the echoes of my hesitant footsteps. I tried to be as quiet as I could. I didn't want to get in any more trouble for making noise. But my father had bought some metal taps from the 5 and 10 and stacked them onto the heels of our shoes to slow down the wear. The taps echoed loudly in the tiled hallway. I tried walking on my toes to stop the noise, but then, too clearly, I reached the office door. The office was small and it seemed crowded. Miss Bray, the janitor, and a seventh grade boy I recognized as Pete Black were inside. Pete and the janitor were standing in front of the desk where Miss Bray sat, tapping a pencil on the large green blotter that covered her uncluttered desktop. I felt weak with anxiety. What was wrong? What had I done wrong? What did Miss Bray? Why did Miss Bray want me? I soon found out. Huddled in the corner, seated on a large wooden chair that made him look very tiny, sat my little brother, Charles. His long sleeved polo shirt seemed to emphasize his thinness. The shirt had blue, cream, and red horizontal stripes, and Charles's face was as red as the stripes on his shirt. His eyes were red too. His long, thick lashes were wet with tears, and he looked at me pitifully without saying a word. I longed to hold him and comfort him, but at age 11, I was too shy and worried to do anything but stand there and look at Miss Bray, waiting to hear what had happened to my little brother. Miss Bray nodded at me as she handed the janitor an enamel basin, then dismissed him. I stood there waiting as she wrote something in a black leather notebook. Pete Black looked angry, and my little brother looked worried and sad. In a few minutes, the janitor returned, still carrying the enamel basin, but now it was full of fresh snow. He handed it to Miss Bray. What was going on? Finally, Miss Bray spoke. Dorothy, I want you to tell your mother about this. Peter Black thought it would be amusing to wash your brother's face in snow. I'm going to show him how amusing it really is. And then that doty old lady grabbed a huge handful of snow, stood up, and washed Pete Black's face with it. Pete gasped and stood there, sputtering and wiping his cheeks. I didn't say a word. I didn't look over at my brother. I just stared, silent and stunned, at Pete. Miss Bray handed Pete a paper towel and said, "You may all go back to class now." Then she returned to writing in her black book. We were dismissed. It was all over. I wasn't in trouble. My little brother was safe, and a bully had gotten just what he deserved. I felt grateful, triumphant, and relieved as we silently filed out of the office and headed to our classrooms. Justice was swift and hardly gentle in those days. I'm sure that Pete never told his parents what happened. We all knew that our parents would punish us twice as severely as any teacher or principal did if we got into trouble at school. I don't know what today's parents would do in a case like this, but I do know that no one in our family or school ever had any more trouble with Pete Black after that day when I made my one and only trip to the principal's office. Hi, Tammy. And today, that teacher would be sued. Correct? What time is it? 7:09. Here's one that says handkerchiefs were necessary. Hi, Anna. Okay, be careful driving. Right, TC? By Phyllis Peters. Are the pennies tied in the corner of your handkerchief? Asked Mrs. Kramer, our housekeeper. Ready for Sunday school, I assured her that the pennies were secure. I considered my collection of useful cloth squares, stacked in a drawer as necessary as food. This was the 1930s. We didn't leave the house without a clean hanky. A sneeze demanded one to cover the mouth to ensure that the germs were not spread to another individual. Hi, nurse of all trades. Good health practices included such things as each child carrying a handkerchief to school. The facial tissue so popular today had not yet replaced the folded cloth squares in the 1930s. A runny nose was pampered with nothing less than a nice clean handkerchief. My brothers Robert and Richard carried larger hankies, either white with an initial in one corner or a white hanky bordered with blue or brown lines woven in the fabric. Of course, a white hanky bordered with black was used for funerals. Women and children often embroidered black stitches along the edge of a hanky to use when there was a death in the family. Today, facial tissues are the favored hankies for most people, but I still keep a supply of cloth hankies, some very old. As a child, I liked the ones with crocheted edges, a side border of lace, or a fine tatted border that I received at Christmas time and birthdays. Many were gift boxed with 3 in each box. I remember that. I remember. When I was 4 years old, it was popular for little girls to wear dresses with matching underpants that showed below the hem. The undergarment had a small pocket where the hanky was placed. My younger sister and I had several of these outfits, and I remember them fondly. When I was married to my best friend in 1947, the tradition was followed: something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. The borrowed item was a beautiful white hanky with a fine, wide lace trim that belonged to my grandmother. When ill with a cold, it is convenient to depend on boxes of facial tissues. On the other hand, my choice is the old-fashioned cloth handkerchief. I watch garage sales, estate sales, flea markets, and small town stores closely for wonderfully preserved hankies of my childhood in the late 20s and 30s. Those were the good old days. Why is Tammy wanting to cancel Christmas? Let's see what time it is. 1:10. Okay. Good old days. Then they have these specials too that you can order. And then also they have these. I have this subscription as well for Reminisce. Sometimes you can find these magazines in like Barnes and Nobles or like a Dollar General, maybe. As soon as I got the subscription, I started seeing some of them in Dollar General, which I could never find before. That's how it goes, right? I'll read this last one, then I gotta go. Thank you, TedRx. Hi. Nice to see you. I don't know if I've ever seen you, but welcome. We happy to have you. Let's read one more, and then we gotta head out to the store before they close. The silhouette cutter. I wish these pictures were clearer because it does show. Oh gosh, here he goes. How long ago was this surgery? Okay, I gotta get him more individual ice cream, more individual cello. Did you hear about Chris Isaiah? Huh? He always comes home from work in such a happy mood. My grandson Isaiah. Yeah, look, the handkerchiefs. And here's one of the little girls that was telling this story. I think about her matching dress and all that, matching underwear. And then we're going to read these this one. Don't leave. I only got one more to read, and it's a short one, Davita. And we're done. Ah, I'll try, Bridget. I'll try. The Silhouette Cutter, Portraits in Black and White by John Dinan. With a few snips here and a few snips there, his hands flew over the black composition paper, creating a silhouette portrait with surgical skill. The silhouette cutter plied his craft at fairs and carnivals and sometimes in the 5 and 10 cent stores, recreating customers' likenesses for a mere 35 cents. Every home had one or more of these masterpieces proudly framed and mounted. Silhouette cutting was raised to the level of fine art before the coming of photography. In early America, hawkers traveled to the country to perform their service. One early silhouette cutter also made some extra money by giving exhibitions of cutting. He charged 25 cents admission. The silhouettes varied in style. Some were snipped from black paper and mounted on a white card. Others were outlined on silk, glass, ivory, or metal, then filled in with black or sometimes color. It was American itinerant silhouette cutters who introduced the style of cutting the portrait out of the center of the card and then pasting black paper or cloth behind it. The art of silhouette cutting was popular through the 1930s and 40s when men of varying degrees, including famed magician Di Vernon, snipped profiles for pocket change. The word silhouette is derived from the name of Etienne de Silhouette, who, as the Controller General of France in 1757, instituted such widespread economies that anything cheap was called a silhouette. Only those of us over 55 can recall this lost art. Like many things from the good old days, silhouette cutting is gone but not forgotten. This is 02. I would have been too young then because I wasn't over 55 then. I was only 40, 45, 46. I would have been 46, getting ready to turn 47. You too, Davita. We were still a youngin' here when this article was written. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. Mary Williams. That's called Knock Knock Run Away. Yeah. Hi, Flower Girl Phillips. Thank you guys for coming. And remember, I was telling you about Chris with leukemia, that he's in ICU on a vent. Well, Dave's mom called a couple hours ago, and she said he's expected to pass today, or if not today, very soon. So I know some of you already knew that. I talked about it before. It's just hard to believe. Hi, Chewy Gum TV. It's very hard to believe. Right? And today's 4 years since Amelia went to heaven. So just very, very odd, right? He's Dave, Chris is what, 34? I'll show you guys a picture. I saw his sister, well, like one of those stories I saw her put up today. And, oh, Jenny was wanting to know if we knew about Chris, that he's not doing well. I guess Miriam and Erica got to go see him. Dave said he wasn't sure if his mom said they got to see him today or if it was yesterday. Let me show you the picture. Like one of those stories. You know how they do that, right? I'm gonna just put a piece of paper over her name. I had a feeling things were not good when I saw her put this up. I just can't believe this. It's unreal. She has written there, best uncle. He's holding one of her little girls. Can't really see too well. Crazy, right, guys? Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Well, I will let you go, and we will see you guys later. Carolyn, she's going to be doing some crafts, I believe. Lexi and I are going to run up to the store quick. I'm going to look for stuff and get high crime scene cleaner. See if we can find doggy diapers too. She's not going to wear them. She's going to rip them to pieces. It does. It really does. Traveled all over, you know. He was always a believer in God too, right, Bonnie? Faye? Amazes me. Well, he was brought up in the church and everything. Not over religious, but he, you know. It's weird to talk about that he's not going to be here. Horrible. Okay, love you guys. See you later. Okay? Bye-bye.